the lovely as always, Janet from another planet, dressed up like a red pirate, by the way. And the host of today's show is actually our friend, the Crafting Gamer from the Fat Man's Corner YouTube page. Actually, the Crafting Gamer page, I believe,
Yar.
right? Yar!
Yes, Crafted
Hey,
Gamer.
how you doing,
Oh,
sir?
bricks. So that's what that background was.
Yeah, it's bricks. You're a fan, peeking through it. You get this is
Okay,
this
that's
is
just
what
that's just gonna be distracting.
this is what Tin Car goes through whenever he's got his tavern behind him. Okay.
Do what I did. Just hang a curtain rod on the ceiling and then hang something and then put some lights on it and stuff.
Or a
Oh,
thousands-
I've got something, but if I put it up, it'll be blocking the fan, and I'm gonna die of heat exhaustion.
Or have a wall of paint.
Yeah, I go for the paint. Tonight's episode, we're going to discuss a movie. Hey, Jay Walbert, how you doing? We're going to discuss this great film from 1995, and it's got a lot of history in it. I'm sure the Crafting Gamer and I are going to be jockeying to get this out to you guys. There's a lot to unpack on this movie, but we watched it last night. Me for the first time, Janet for the first time. Yar, Orange Hat Reviews popped in. Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Walbert. How are you tonight? Shadow and Sun, Crafting Gamer, and Emperor 1G. I am waiting to be entertained, he says. So without further ado, my name is Bruce. Please welcome us. Say hello to Janet and the Crafting Gamer in the chat if you could. And hold on tight. We're going to discuss a great film.
So, Crafting Gamer, why did you recommend us to watch this movie? Besides the fact that I'd never seen it before.
Well, when Bruce said he hadn't seen it, I thought he was just joking and saying, "Oh, I just love this movie. I would love to see this movie because it was something from my child." Like I literally thought Bruce was joking around and said he hadn't seen it. So I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a must, Bruce, especially if you want to watch it again." And I type in, "It's a must." I also was thinking I hadn't seen it for so long. Bruce is going to play it if I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Be a little selfish and have Bruce play it for me.
Well, good. I'm glad we did because I had never seen it before myself. And the reason I never watched it is because I was told it was a bomb at the box office. And when someone says it's a bomb, that means it sucked. At least that's what I thought. But after we watched it and we started reading about it and finding out about all the problems they had with the production, not just the behind the scenes for the actors, the costumes and sets and things like that. It was problems at the executive level with overspending their budgets and borrowing too much money and things like that is what bombed this movie at the box office because they weren't able to market it the way it should have been marketed. And I think that's what killed this movie. What do you think?
Well, movie research is not one of my strong suits.
Oh,
They use a lot of technical terms when they talk about that kind of stuff, and technical terms is even worse.
Some of the things that I read about it, they went overboard on the sets, because when I watched it, I was enthralled with the actual city. At the beginning of the movie that they were going through, went on and on and on, and the amount of extras they had and the costumes on everyone was so authentic, and they had actual carriages and horses and looked like hundreds and hundreds of costumes for all these people. And then when you think about the crafty to feed all these people, places for them to stay outside of the camera, views, all that stuff, the boom operators, the camera operators, just every detail of that is a lot of money. It's a ton of money that they spent to get the settings right. And that's not even talking about the actors. And then when I read some more about it, found out that Gina Davis and most of the actors didn't even have stuntmen. that they had to do all their own stunts, and how many injuries there were. So because I know when you're in water, you have to have like scuba people, special water rescue people there. When you have anything with a pyrotechnics, any of that stuff, you have to have firemen, all the extra stuff that you have to have. And there was so much packed into this movie. I'm shocked that it didn't do well at the box office. I'm really shocked because I still think it holds up today. If they were to put this movie out right now, I think it would do well because it has good acting, it has exquisite set. Just everything about it I thought was really good. So is that one reason why you really liked
factors
it?
why it would succeed too, Janet.
Do what?
There's other factors why this movie would succeed today. You and I probably wouldn't appreciate them, but I think this movie would go bonkers today. It would go apeshit today.
I do too. I
Yeah,
thought it was very good.
Yeah, Bruce is talking about the fact that it was a strong, independent woman, which is actually the reason why when I was a kid, I loved this movie so much. This movie came out when I was 4, and I watched it at home for the first time when I was 6, I believe. And this movie greatly informed how I looked at women and the kind of women I like. This was one of the first times I seen a strong, independent woman in a manner that I'd like. That's the kind of woman I'd want to live with.
Now, I'm gonna start before the movie begins. This movie was $60 million in the hole before they got things started. They were doing pre-production, and Carol Co. Productions was already in debt from previous ventures, which had not paid out. Now, to give you guys an idea of Carol Co., they were a very revered movie house. They produced and they published out Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1991, they put out Terminator 2. So, something happened, and whoever their investor was, he was bad. Their investor was completely a horrible, horrible planner.
Mm-hmm.
And they were losing money. Because whenever you make millions of dollars, you do want to throw some money in a bank, a savings account for a rainy day, for things like, oh, your entire set got leveled by a hurricane. We better fix this. And by the way, while this movie is doing pre-production and production, there's another film having problems, and that's called Waterworld. So, and that movie took a long time to produce too, because, like I said, it got hit by a hurricane.
Yeah.
So you have all these problems starting before the movie's even in production. This reminds me so much of the failed house of Cannon Film Group. I love Cannon Film Group, but what they did was they would make a movie, they'd run out of money, they looked to a movie house that was producing money for them because they'd put a movie or two in the theaters at the time, and they'd take all that from the ticket sales and throw it in production of another movie. They were literally going hand to mouth, and they did that for about 8 years before they ran out of fund. And now here's Carol Co. doing the same thing on a more epic scale.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is that it couldn't have been just one person. It had to be multiple people for it to be that far in debt, because it goes through levels. There's like different executive producers and regular producers, and then you have the heads of the actual production company, and you have to pay people to be doing stuff. So if the check's bouncing already, then a lot of people are going to quit. Because they're not getting their money. So somebody was juggling the money enough to keep everybody working while they were losing money. You see what I mean? So it was like a tiered program or something, a pyramid type program scheme that was going on behind the scenes to keep people happy and the checks flowing while they were doing the producing, or the production part. When I say producers, I mean producers in the executive part of it. Also, then you have the production people that are actually making the movie, working day after day to make sure the actors are fed and where they're supposed to be, and that, they had everything they needed on the sets to make the movie, because that part went I mean, it worked, even though there was some injuries and, different things like that. They weren't major injuries, like, someone being shot, even though there was a lot of guns being shot and stuff, and lots of explosions on set from what I saw. Cause it was just, I was just impressed with the amount of, action that was going on just in the very first part of the movie. So, I mean, it was just impressive to me. And I really thought Gina Davis, I was amazed. The only movie I saw her in that I thought she did really good as an actress instead of funny, because Earth Girls Are Easy was a comedy. And so it was light-hearted and things like that. But when I saw her in Thelma and Louise, I thought she was really good actress. I mean, a serious actress alongside with the other characters that were in the movie. I think it was Susan Sarandon and Brad Pitt and a few others. But this movie, even though she was young, but she was able to hold her own, she seemed. The way she handled the sword, the way she fought, her athletic skills, all that different stuff. Even though she was a woman, she seemed like she could do things for herself and that it wasn't all, a stunt double or something else. So I was real impressed with it. And I thought she did a really good job, trekking through the jungle and, all the different things that they had her doing. I thought she did really good. Even climbing up the rope and stuff, you could tell it was really her climbing.
Yeah, you could tell she was the chief stunt person for her. I couldn't tell if she was the one that was tumbling off the second story down the roof into the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I saw her get up, I'm like, that was either a really good camera edit or I just saw primitive CG work right. Yeah. I didn't think under the least. I didn't think that they would actually force her to be a stunt person. But Rennie Harlan has $100 million movie. That's about the cost of it.
Uh-huh.
And he has no cost available for actual stunt people. He has a stunt coordinator. He's got to teach the actors how to do stunts.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. When you were telling me more about it after we watched the movie and that she had to do her own stunts, it was even more impressive because I was like, wow, she did really good. I mean, even if she had to do it, sometimes you'd have to do it 10, 20, 30 times to get it to what the director likes.
40-year-old woman having to do it.
Yeah, she did great. I thought she was excellent. And I still thought the guy in the opening scene that she's in bed with looked like Pauly Shore. I don't know who the actor was, and I looked. I couldn't find out who it was.
I couldn't find out who it was either. But when he stuck the barrel of the pistol in his mouth, I'm like, what? Wait, what movie are we watching here? That
wasn't the same guy. That wasn't the same guy. The guy that she was in bed with at the very beginning.
Yes.
And he had that hair on. He's the one that turned in the pirates in the city to the other people.
Correct.
He was a totally different character. You never saw him again after that scene. And I have seen many movies where they've done that, and they had an uncredited another actor that had a small cameo or whatever.
And there was supposed to be another good cameo in this movie, but we were shorted that because somebody got long on alcohol consumption. Oh. This movie was filmed in Malta.
Mm-hmm.
Malta is where Bruce is going to go before he passes. And I'm going to go have one at Ollie's Last Stand, which is the pub for Oliver. Why am I blanking on his name?
Anyway, I don't know who you're talking about.
No, the guy that exposed himself to Gina Davis, he was supposed to have a small cameo.
Oh, that guy, but I don't remember
Oliver Reed.
Yeah, okay.
Oliver Reed was supposed to have a cameo in this movie, but he goes on set and he drinks like Peter O'Toole's hanging out with him. So they're up to like 4 a.m. He goes back for an hour-long nap. And then at like 7 a.m. after breakfast, he's like, how do I look? And he shows it. All of it.
So he was showing her his tools.
Yes, he was. He was showing her what he was working with. And I mean, the guy was not a spring chicken, mind you. He was quite old in the hat, and he had a couple rings around him. But he got booted off set after that. This is the director's wife. Whoops.
Oh, she was still married to him? I thought she had just divorced the other guy.
Divorced, Jeff Goldblum, and they weren't married.
She'd already remarried?
they were probably either freshly married or knocking boots. And I'm willing to bet both were taking, if not one, then the other. But this movie should have had Oliver Reed in it. Yeah, here's one to Arlie Reed. Cheers to you, sir, you magnificent legend. Good God, one of these days I'll read the list of alcohol he drank the night he died. It's
Yeah,
like
I
the
never
case
saw
of
the
the
movie. I
Giant.
saw in the chat someone said something about A Long Kiss Goodnight. I've never seen that, so
All right,
I can't comment on it.
That's another Rennie Harlan, Gina Davis movie.
Mhm.
Rennie directed, Gina starred, and it's the first time I can remember Samuel L. Jackson was like on his rise. That was the first movie I remember him in.
Mhm.
I know he was in True Romance. I love that movie, but that's
Yeah, that was a good movie. I'd never seen it either until you recommended we watch it. So it's good.
okay. I'm still surprised that you'd never seen that before because that's like the '90s movie.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but Ollie Reed was supposed to be in this film, and he saw himself out of a paycheck.
Well, shouldn't be drinking and spending time alone with people.
I feel personally attacked.
But the scenery and everything from the very beginning was I was not expecting it because I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was because I thought it was going to be a flop. Lots of problems or whatever else. But you couldn't tell from the actual production, of the actual movie. And once I watched it, I thought it was really well made. I thought the action was really good. I just thought everybody did a good job portraying the characters that they were, the bad guy, you hated him, you wanted to see him lose. So, what more do you want in a good movie? It had lots of action.
Frank Langella is in this movie, and I have a very, very concerned heart for him because he's not a young man or even a middle-aged man anymore. He's in that tier of gentlemen that we're going to lose in the next 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very sad about that because nobody lives forever, sadly. But he's a very skilled actor. He's a very good actor. And he played a great villain in this. And if you guys don't know why I like Frank Langella so much, it's because he played Skeletor in the miserable Masters of the Universe movie from 1987.
Uh-huh.
I love that movie. That's a stupid movie. It's one of the worst movies of all time. It's my guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're all allowed that, I think.
I'm not sorry about that. I said it. It's like Janet and Bad Girls.
I got a movie like that.
I still like that movie. I still like it. Just like I like Lars and the Real Girl. I still like it too.
I hate that movie less than the Bad Girls movie. Mm-hmm. Yes, Frank Langella used his Skeletor voice in this film. I just wish he would have came back as Skeletor. I know. Stupid wishes. This movie's fantastic. Matthew Modine.
The part where I wish they'd done a little more to show the relationship between the daughter and the father before they killed him off. That was such a small scene. And the fact that she had to cut off her dad's scalp to get the skin, because the map was on there, when he was saying for her to, he was telling her to cut off his hair. I was thinking that she was going to take a knife or whatever and cut some of his hair off and then see the map and then write it down or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. No. But later, when she pulls it out of the crotch of her pants, her dad's scalp, and then shows it to him in the back of that carriage, I just thought that was kind of bizarre. It took me a little while of them all taking it out and opening and closing it with the hair sticking out of it and stuff. I thought that was just kind of gruesome, but it seemed kind of believable. But I don't know how you could do that. I mean, they didn't give you any details on how she fixed it to where it didn't rot. You know what I mean? So that was the one thing after I thought about it, because when you skin something, you definitely have to put salt on it and start doing stuff to prepare it for tanning, right? And stretching and whatever you're going to do to it when you cut off the hide of a cow or a deer or whatever else. If you're going to keep it, a bear, you can't just take it and just stick it in your clothes and carry it around because it's going to reek. you know. So I
This is
thought,
the same time frame where people were wearing wigs and smelling miserable.
yeah, I know that, but I mean, I just wish they put a little bit more effort into that part of it to make it a little bit more believable, especially when her father dies and then she has to scalp him. you know, it was just, they just cut it all off. And then she's happily showing her dad's, scalp to a total stranger that she just, paid for out of prison. I don't know. And then, because he was there with her talking is how she figured out the reflection is what they had to look at, the reflection of the map to make sense of it. So I like that, the way they did that, as an
I assure
accident.
you, madam, they're normal in every way.
But I thought that was really good, the way they did that part of it. But getting to that one part, I wish they'd just put a little bit more,
Did
something
it really
in that.
feel like a 2 hour long movie?
Mm-mm. No, it went by quickly
Yeah,
because it was so fast paced. It wasn't really boring. There wasn't any boring areas. You were intrigued to listen to what they were saying, how she was figuring out the different parts of the map because there was 3 pieces to it.
Yeah, even when it was just talking, you feel like you were watching something happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
not
something
just
was
like
unfolding.
I've seen a lot of different talkings where it's just, okay, can we get over this now? This is boring. But even like I said, even in the talking parts, you feel like something's happening, so you'd never get bored.
Yeah, there was always something going on. I mean, it was like they're battling their way through the city, okay, to get back to the ship and everything. And that's when she sees the sign and she realizes the numbers on the map were the latitude and longitude or whatever. She's trying to figure out, which direction for the map or where they were supposed to go to find Cutthroat Island. And so different things like that made it believable for things to pop in her head because so much stuff was going on. It's fast paced. Because I know all of us have been through something like that. You'd be going somewhere and you walk out of the one room and you're like, shit, I forgot what I was supposed to be doing. You have to go back in there and you'll see something and it sparks your memory and you're able to remember what you forgot or something,
Yeah.
So that's why I thought that it brought a human connection quality to the part that she was saying when she would see something and it would make her mind go, oh yeah, that goes here or that does this. And I like that part of it because it showed that she also had a brain.
Yeah, speaking of good scenes, since I'm a little bit of a host, I do have a couple things I was prepared to be asked. I guess I can ask them instead, such as, what was your favorite scene? I will start with you, Janet.
Oh, I'd have to think about that for a minute. I don't know. Just give me a few minutes to think about that.
Okay, how about you, Bruce?
As we're talking about it.
I would say my favorite scene was actually at the beginning when she was losing her dad. That was the part that I actually like. Gina Davis wasn't quote unquote acting that much in this film. She was being a good Gina Davis character, but when she was with her father, it felt like there was something that was going on under the surface, and I think she just put more effort into that scene. And you had the smoke, you had the waves, you had the boat, and then you had all the mutinous bastards. And I just thought that was probably the best scene of the movie, although the rest of the movie held up really well.
Yeah. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, to me, one of the best scenes to me was the actual part where they actually find the treasure and they see it, and from the light from above shining down a little bit on the water in that little cavern, and then you see all the gold and the doubloons and everything, and they get over there and they start digging in it. Who hasn't thought about that? I get goosebumps thinking about it. When you're a little kid and you open the treasure chest, even though it's not real, and you're at, like a theme park, whatever, and you get to stick your hands down into all those coins and you just feel, I don't know, I can't explain. It was a childlike feeling of excitement when she reached into that silver little box that she found and she opened it and she pulls out all those gems. as a woman, I guess maybe that's what it was, is that all I could think of was all the beautiful jewelry she's going to get to make out of all those stones, because it was like emeralds and rubies and diamonds and pearls and stuff all mixed in there. I just thought that was a real exciting scene for me. And it was the look on her face when they zoomed in and she's like, we found the treasure or whatever. That whole scene, to me, I really liked. And later, I don't remember, we were talking about it afterward, about how they were able to get the treasure back out. And we were trying to think in our mind how they were able to get some of those bigger chests with money, and now, because they were really heavy. So they would have had to have somehow brought bags in, or other smaller boxes to transport stuff to get it out with the ropes and everything. You know what I mean? To get all that out. But the other team that ended taking it, the bad pirates that took this, the ship away and everything, they had more people, to be able to do all that, to transfer that out. So, because there was a couple areas where they had to pretty much crouch down and slide across and stuff on their butts and stuff. So that would be the only way they'd be able to get that out, is have ropes to be able to pull and transfer it into different types of things. But the look on her face and the excitement she had, because I'm sure she heard stories from her father about different things about this island and where the booty was at and how they've been hiding it for years, that type of thing. And then for her to be the one to find it, in honor of her dad that died in front of her, that type of thing. I thought that was a pretty good scene.
The other part, and Six Nations just hit it on the head. That scene reminded me of Goonies quite a bit. And, the Goonies was all about those 7 kids getting a hold of this treasure and beating the gang with Mama, to the pirate's lair. And that was really cool. But here you have these pirates, and then you have the entire ship that she's got command of. And the better part of that scene was after the point when she's telling all of her crew what they've earned, and when she's giving specifics of how it will be dellied out and how they can either choose to do whatever they want, and people are making plans. That really, for some odd reason, that scene hit me pretty well too. I mean, I'm not going to say Gina Davis is the best actress in the world, far from. But the first scene with her and her father, and this scene here when she's telling her crew what they've got and what it means to her to be able to tell them, if you want to quit, you can quit. And everybody's kind of looking around like, did she just say we could quit being a pirate and they're going to kill us? And she's like being sincere and honest, like, go enjoy yourselves. This is ours.
Even though she didn't want to,
Yeah.
Even though for her own self, she wanted to continue, doing what she loves, being a pirate. But when some of the guys were actually looking at the treasures in front of them, and it was a lot. Once they sorted it and it was separated and stuff, you got to see the different stuff they were able to bring back and actually save because of her quick thinking about putting the barrel, tying it off on there so that it would be high up above it, you know what I mean? Floating so they could go down the rope and find the treasure and bring it up. But that whole scene, when she started hearing some of the men thinking about wanting to maybe start a family, buy some land, and things like that, you could see her disappointment, across her face, that some of them were actually thinking that, this is it. They don't want to do anything more. Because why be a pirate and get all this money if you're never going to enjoy it, And so I'd be torn, as one of those people on that ship, how lonely you might be for never having, the love of your life to, have a family or whatever else. And all you have is money, in a way I would probably want to just take my share and, go live my life somewhere. So I thought that was a good scene. It was very realistic and heartwarming for the pirates to finally be able to
live on the top floor.
Uh-huh.
Have all the waitresses on your staff. Life is good.
Yeah, to do whatever it is you wanted. I mean, they've had a hard life. They've worked hard, and they've been backstabbed, by somebody they thought, they could trust, because the guy supposedly fought side by side with them, and he had sold them all up the river, 2 or 3 of them. There was like 3 or 4 characters that were doing things to ruin their chances from ever being successful. So the fact that they overcame all those bad things that happened, and then they see the booty in front of them, this piles of gold and silver and coins and jewelry and big giant crosses and everything that they'd been collecting, to be able to see that in your arm's reach, and think about the kind of life you could have now after robbing people. You see all these people with wealth, and you're able to take it from them, and they're still rich, but to be able to take something from someone else wanting to have their life, and now they have the real opportunity to do it, and how many of them really wanted to give that up?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just thought that was good. Sorry,
but
go ahead.
It's okay. I'd have to say my favorite, it kind of like Bruce, it's a 2-parter. I can't really decide which one I like better, but they're back to back. One is when she walks up to the hooker and goes, "How much?" And the hooker goes, "What?"
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was a good scene.
And then right afterwards, when they see her in the red dress, because when you see her in the white dress, she has a aristocratic confidence about her, but you can kind of tell that's not really who she is. But when she's in the red dress, she completely protrudes, "I am woman, hear me roar." And I'm talking about, in my case, I've always been taught that means I am hot. If you don't like it, don't look at me. That's what I've always taught here. I am woman, hear me roar. And that is exactly how her attitude portrays in that dress, which I love it, because most of what they portrayed her up to that point is a tomboy. And they could, in the storyline, they could have easily made her uncomfortable in a dress. Like she kind of wasn't in the white dress. It definitely wasn't her. But like I said, in the red dress, they didn't portray as she was always uncomfortable in the dress. She was just uncomfortable in the situation. She knows what she looks like. She knows how hot she is, and she knows how to use it.
But to me, she definitely didn't lose her confidence at all in any of the things that she did, in who she was. And the part where she did that in the white dress, and she had to show her undergarments, that she didn't seem to, it didn't bother her at all, that she was showing all the things that most women would never show,
Yeah, exactly.
and she was it didn't slow her down, like every little action she did, jumping, running, fighting, showing everything she has, her goods, and it didn't affect her confidence at all. She wasn't blushing and being like, oh, I'm not a lady or whatever, type of thing. And then also when she did bump into the prostitute in the street, she sees her walking down the street all, pretty and everything. And she's like, "How much?" And the woman kind of looks like, "What? You're a woman," or whatever. And then she just wanted her outfit and stuff so that she could pretend she was a prostitute and go up into the place and use it as a ruse to get into the place, which I thought was really smart. And the fact that, because they were saying there's no way you're going to get in, which is true, but they always looked at women as not a threat, back then. So the fact that she was able to get in and have her weapon on her leg, strapped to her leg, to get in there and to talk to the gentleman that she was wanting to speak to about the other map, and where they were going to try to go when they found got 3 maps and put them together, whether he'd want to be in on it. And the fact that he got killed after that, I thought that was kind of sad, because that was the second person that meant a lot to her in her life that died, so she lost a lot to achieve that goal for her crew, and that showed that she was a good captain, that she was sacrificing for her crew, for their benefit too, not just herself. So I thought that was really good for character arc for her.
Well, that brings me up to my next question. I personally didn't feel there was any scenes that you could do without, but was there Janet kind of already answered. Was there any scenes that you feel should have been added or extended on? And you already said that was, I forgot what scene, but I know you said
the only other thing that I would have wanted to see if we could have was how they were, the other men were getting the gold and stuff out. That would have been That was the only other thing. But
Yeah, that I'd have to agree with
whole
you there.
scene
That's
where
the only scene.
when they were going down the cliff and then they see the huge cave and they're holding onto the ropes and stuff. I mean, it looked like Gina Davis. I don't think it was. I think if we could look it up and find out, I don't think that she had a stunt double for that. I think she really was. She looked like a little monkey. They both did. The way that they were able to go up and down that rope, I just thought that was that's a lot. If you've ever tried that, that's a lot of work for your hands. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to have really good, strong hands, not just arm strength. You got to have strong grip on your hands, and grabbing that type of rope, it's very, very thick and it's very rough. I mean, so I was just concentrated, thinking about all the different things that they were doing, and also the gentleman that somebody was talking about last night, the one that was using the chain as a weapon to wrap
Yeah.
around people and get them. I mean, that was a really good, exciting way of fighting and combat that a lot of people don't even think about. That I'm sure a lot of people use it because doesn't Ghost Rider use his chains in that
Yeah.
way? That was one of the
Yeah.
things that I remembered. But that's what popped in my head. It wasn't anything to do with swashbuckling. It was that Ghost Rider would use chains like that when he was
Oh
capturing
yeah.
people. So that's what popped in my head. But I thought that was a really good concept, the way that they used it for that one guy's specialty was him fighting with chains, which you would think would be a really good way to fight back then, especially when other people had swords,
Yeah.
or muskets, to use. So
Yeah. No, and it was me saying about the chain. It was that particular character. I didn't realize it until I watched this movie. Like I said last night, it inspired a lot about the book. But that actually that character directly inspired chain combat in my game. Otherwise, because I watched it and realized that's what I was thinking of when I thought chain combat would be cool. Was that guy?
mm-hmm.
So it's this movie ended up being not just like important to me for my childhood because I love this movie, but ended up unintentionally being important for my book too, because there's a couple other scenes that I watched and it just reminds me of the way I've set up my book. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, we kind of skipped you. What sort of scene would you want it added or extended into this movie?
For the added or extension, I would actually want to go a little further on the beginning, like what Janet said earlier. Have about a good 15 minutes with her father alive.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
I want more of him. He's a great actor. We were kind of robbed of having some really good moments on camera. He might have outshone his daughter in this movie, but we would have had a better grasp of exactly what type of pirate trained his daughter to where her morality wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
flinch when she had to yank her daddy's scalp up and then grab a knife to use the reflection to read
Mm-hmm.
the backwards text on the map, because that was hardcore and I wasn't expecting it. I was
Mm-hmm.
not expecting this at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I needed that for me because I'm a tomboy. I grew up with my dad, and my dad took me to the farm with him to work feed the animals and things like that. He showed me how he sharpened blades with his little foot pedal machine. Just things that I was able to do with my dad that my mom just was, she wasn't involved in, and that's what I could see. I wanted to see a little more of that with her dad. You know what I mean? So that I don't know, just to me it would I don't know, give a little bit more of a connection on why she was the type of woman that she was. Because she adored her dad, apparently, because she grew up on a ship. Her dad's the reason why, because he was a pirate. And you didn't tell any backstory about what happened to her mother or anything. I just would like to have had a little bit more information on that aspect, with a flashback or something. But
The
besides
scene,
that, it was still good.
in my head, she was a daughter, a woman that was born at a brothel or a bar,
Hmm.
and the pirate didn't really have a heart of gold, but he knew that the lady that birthed her probably wouldn't be able to take care of her, and he's like, "Well, I could either give her a life to where she's with me, on the high seas, or I can leave her in an orphanage and maybe I'll pick her up whenever I come back in port.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of those two things happened. Either way, she got out on the open seas, and that's what we got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought she did a great job. And there was a couple other little things that kind of, I was like, that wasn't too believable to me. Was when she got shot, the way
Oh
she
yeah, but don't
reacted
get
when
me
she
started
got
on that.
shot and she grabbed herself. She seemed like she was shot, and she acted like she was shot for quite a little ways during that whole scene before she got back to the ship. But then it was like all of a sudden she's not shot. It's like the editing part. They kind of messed up a little bit, making sure that the scenes were tied together properly.
Well,
So,
what it was supposed to be, at least from what I can tell, knowing a little bit about pirate mentality, is she was trying to not show weakness in front of her crew. But I agree with you, they could have done a little bit more editing, like maybe just a little snippet where she says, I can't let them see this, and then she moves on and you see her acting all like there's nothing wrong. That would have
well,
made
it's
a little
kind
bit
of
more
hard
sense.
though when you're fighting. Okay, they're all fighting in that
Oh,
bar,
you're talking about
that
the
cabin.
fighting scene. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
back about the
Remember,
ship.
they're
Sorry.
all fighting in there, and she gets thrown by the chain guy, gets her around the
Yeah.
neck, and she gets slammed to the ground. Okay, and that's after she's already been shot. Okay, and almost all her crew saw her get shot, so they knew she was shot. So they knew that she needed help, and
The
she was
loyal
trying to.
crew knew she was.
Yeah, that's
The
what I
loyal
mean.
crew knew she was
Her
shot.
her really close guys that do things with her, that she's in confidence with, right?
Yeah.
And she tells them things before they, tell anyone else on the ship to make sure that they keep the morale up and whatever. But they didn't even really act like it was a big deal, So to me, it was like they skipped over or they forgot or something. And then when she's back on the ship, and that's when you see her collapse, that's the only time anybody really pays any attention to her. But how could they have not seen her get shot? I don't know. A little bit of that part of it was a little bit iffy for me, but it didn't take me away from the movie. I mean, it didn't pull me out enough to say, oh, this is terrible, I'm not going to watch it anymore. So it was still good, and there was so much action with all the other characters involved. So I still watched it. It was good. But I just wish it, I don't know, like when the guy, the prisoner, I can't remember what his name is for right now. I lost my Matthew
Sean,
Modine's character. When he did the whole thing with the gunpowder, the candle, and the little kid helped. Okay, that whole thing was good. And if they would have made it more like he was trying to help her because he saw that she was shot and he was wanting to help her more, but they didn't, I don't know, the way that they edited it just didn't seem like that was the reason why I was doing it. You know
You
what I mean?
just hit on my biggest critique of the movie.
Okay, what?
Editing. The editing of this film is like middling at best.
Mhm.
There's so many parts where there's a scene cut, scene again, something's out of place. Like there's goofs all over it, but because people don't like this movie, it's not so littered up on its goofs page on IMDb. But there's like 7 or 8 times where I'm watching things and I'm like, that doesn't quite look right from the last scene. Like it just things were different, things were out of place. It wasn't as bad, was not as bad as like CGI in a Marvel film or
Mhm.
a Disney Plus show or having a Starbucks cup on set. Wasn't that bad?
Or wearing
But
tennis shoes
yeah, wearing tennis shoes.
with a night uniform.
What the
Yeah,
heck is that
things like
Nike
that.
sport doing there? It was not that bad of a film, but the editing is what I could see if the people are going to get critical about this movie, the editing is where it all falls apart.
Mhm.
But the scene where she gets shot, I'm watching this last night with everybody. Yar har, Mages Museums, how you doing today? Um, where she gets shot, holy cow, she gets like she's got to have like a stack of hit points. She's got to be like Helga in our game, the barbarian half orc girl. Like
Yeah.
she's going through the motions. Come on, guys, do this. And she's using her diaphragm and she's using her stomach muscles, everything. And instead of her like doubling over in pain and realizing, like, hey, there's a 1 1/4 inch piece of metal, spherically shaped, embedded in my hip girdle, and staggering off and having a large loss of blood, and somebody helping her. No, that doesn't happen. She's there belching orders and telling stuff. I was just about right there. That was the part where I was having trouble. That's it. But I got to say, and I'm losing viewership. I'm going to drop the camera back down on the miniatures. But I wanted to say that that's the worst part of the movie, because when she got shot, you saw the editing go to hell. They did a lot of rewrites on this movie. They did so many rewrites that Rennie Harlan had to put in $1 million. The director of the film, I'm fronting you $1 million. I had to rewrite some stuff. How much? Here's the script. That's an awful thick script. It's all of it. They did so many reshoots of this movie.
Yeah, you can tell that the editing was skimped over, and it probably because of the lack of money. Okay, because you got to remember it's already filmed.
And the athleticism of of Gina Davis and the rest of the cast of this movie must be put up, even if they don't have a budget for stunt performers. The stunt coordinator got them in shape enough to where they made it look good, and you could tell that the actors were the ones doing their own stunts. I got to hit this again, because stunt performers make a movie if it's done right, if it looks right. If it doesn't look right, then you have a movie like I'm Going to Get You Sucker, which will take you out of it. I'm Going to Get You Sucker is one of my favorite films, but they have the best fight scene. They replaced the black lady with the white dude with the black wig, and he's still got a mustache, and he's in the middle of a fight, and then at the very end of the fight, the black woman's there on camera again. It's perfect. But they use the actors, and they gave them the actors training on how to do things. I can only imagine that made the insurance go up further. This is in Malta, and they filmed it somewhere else, like Morocco or some other place, not friendly, not a real great place to be. And it came out looking great. Not edited well.
Well, that's one of the things, though, is like I said, right off the bat, the scenery was just phenomenal. The beautiful water, the islands that they choose to show in it. You could see all the colors and the depth of the ocean and everything, and the two beautiful ships they used.
The 70 plus.
The costumes. I mean, just all that. You could see it. They spent a lot of money on it. I could tell that was a lot of money. I mean, it was just so much. I mean, it was just overabundance of it. And that's what was sad about the most of that part, to have it ruined because of editing problems and budgeting problems, because people in offices that never even went on the sets caused them to have those types of problems. And that's sad, because even the actors, they did the best they could, and they even did their own stunts. And I thought they did good, considering, when I first watched it, I wasn't even thinking about them not having money. I just kept trying to think, why was this movie a flop? I've seen way worse movies than this one, and they actually made money. That's what I was thinking through the whole thing. I was trying to figure out, why was this movie bomb? I thought it was really good. I mean, the blockbuster star,
$70 million.
Yeah, but
Mage's musings. Bruce may not have a pirate hat, but I have an eye patch. Like this, it makes me look like
I can take my hat off.
Gary.
But I like having the hat on with my outfit.
You like the hat? So. I think this movie right now holds a Guinness Book of World Records for the most money lost for a major film. It does. This holds the record. However, the year's not over, and Indiana Jones is still struggling in theaters. $400 million cost, including adverts, including marketing, including the writer's room from Star Wars Disney Plus. Okay, that's $400 million, and it's only made like $130 million. So I'm about ready to have my happy dance whenever they announce how much money it lost, because it's going to be a lot more than $170 million.
Well, honestly, when you were telling me about this losing so much money, I was really shocked because I remembered in the news and stuff that Waterworld had cost a lot of money and that it was a bomb, a box office bomb.
But
And
it wasn't
so
a whole
when
world
you
record
told me
holder.
that about this one, I was like, it couldn't be. It was even a better movie than Waterworld.
And I like both movies. I know some people don't like this. Rennie Harlin's not my hated director. I know some people can't stand him. Major
Mhm.
Musings is one. First major problem with this film is that Rennie Harlin had anything to do with it. And that's his statement right there in the chat. And that's great. But Rennie Harlin is not Taika Waititi, which he is a money-making director. I just don't like him as a director. I won't watch anything of his and throw him money anymore. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely over it. But with that stated, there's a lot worse directors out there that have made far worse movies, far worse films to me than Bernie Hardlin. And I mean, we're gonna watch Long Kiss Goodnight here pretty soon because that's another film that I think is really good for its time, and it probably holds up really well today, especially in the era of Me Too. Why were these two films not shoved out in the theaters for a re-release? I know some people are like, what the hell are you thinking, Bruce? Well, follow me for a second. Natalie Portman's out there. We've got to have more female directors. We've got to have more female-led movies. All right, kids. In 2006, I want to say Gina Davis went out, and I'm not reading anything. Here's my hands. I'm not on the web. I'm watching my hands and watching Janet go to avatar mode. This movie is like the precursor of what we have now, but it's actually not a bad version of strong leading female. It's not Sarah Connor killing Terminators, but it sure as shit is not Brie Larson trying to look like she's standing like Arnold Schwarzenegger for the Captain Marvel film.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you're not a fan of Harlan Mage's Musings. I don't know what movies he made that you can't stand. I know you didn't like this one, and I could understand where if in 95 would I have liked this a lot? Probably would have been middle of the road. But when we have the 2023 film availability, and I get to watch this, which had real stunts, had real props, had a real army of caterers out there feeding these people.
Yep.
I mean, you just think about the number of sandwich shops that were in business in Malta, killing chickens and ham.
Uh-huh.
I know it's pigs, but I just shortcut it. It's ham. They're making ham and cheese sandwiches for all these people on set. Just think of the director and him trying to get all of his head wrapped around catering for a second. And then he's like, I got to sign off on this $2 million day because we're going to have 232 people on camera because I've got to have this rich, voluptuous scene of what goes on here in Port Isabel or Port, what we're San Jacinto or wherever we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Mage's Musings adds, I didn't love Die Hard 2. I disliked this one. Cliffhanger had a great opening sequence, but was downhill from there. Oh, and Deep Blue Sea was weak sauce. Yes, Deep Blue Sea was only elevated by one thing, and that was Samuel L. Jackson. In fact, Samuel L. Jackson, when the scriptwriter was doing the Deep Blue Sea script, he just said in the script, Samuel L. Jackson starts to scream and ramble. And he had Samuel L. Jackson in mind. Casting director saw it, and they just casted him. Yeah, and then Carol Coe was involved with a good catalog of film and TV productions. This film would not have single-handedly killed it, no matter how bad it was or how it could have been. Other forces were at hand, indeed. This movie was immediately saddled at its outset with $60 million in debt to pay off because people were cashing their chips in, telling Carol Coe to put up or shut up. You're getting to be like Canon Film Group. We need you to put out some money. And so they're going out reassuring everybody this is going to fly really well over in Europe. This is going to fly really well in Europe. They love women. They love women. They love seeing a woman do stuff. And wait till you see this American actress just kicking ass. She's going to steal box office money for you.
Yeah.
And the movie was like completely blown off. You had Siskel and Ebert give it a complete pass, like 2 thumbs down. You had
Mhm.
rip this movie apart. The only part of this movie that was critically loved was the OST. The soundtrack to this movie is fantastic, and if you haven't heard it, it's available for free on YouTube and many other streaming services that you use. That's the best part of the film. The second best part of the film is just the look of it. It looks the part. It looks great. And I wish that more films would take the chance of having at least 1 or 2 big shooting days with 60 or 70 people on set. Because this movie looked like it was alive. They actually belonged where they were saying they were. It wasn't a back lot. They filmed on
Mhm.
location.
Yeah,
They
you can
had
definitely tell that.
they
Especially
had
to
the
me,
costumes.
I'm going to interrupt for a second when you're talking about that, was the island scenes when they were walking through the jungle and doing things in the jungle. You could tell it wasn't.
Janet, Janet, hello.
The aliens have abducted her.
Oh
She's
no,
returning home.
Am I
Janet,
back?
we see you back now.
Okay, sorry. I live in the boonies. So, but what I was saying is the scenes where they're walking through the jungle and on the island, the palm fronds and everything they were going through, it looked real. It didn't look like it was on a set. When we watched the movie Legend and they were in the woods and we were waiting for the unicorns to come, you could tell it wasn't real. You know what I mean? Even though it was beautiful and everything, but you could tell where they were sitting and there was perched to watch the unicorns that it wasn't real. But this, it looked authentic. When you saw them walking and going around in the jungle, not just the beach scenes, it looked like they were really on an island, a desert island. And to me, it was breathtaking. It was beautiful when they looked over the cliffs and you could see the water and the waves and everything. I just thought it was beautiful that they didn't spare any of that to me to take you away from the actual stuff. So now you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it just you kind of hit directly on it. When you have a movie that films on location, when you have a film with a location scout that's worth his salt, and he
Hmm.
says, "I could get us this many hotel rooms and this many extra berthings for this much money, and I've got people in the area that we could get them with generators to do catering." And if the shoots are going to be this long, we can do it definitely. We can absolutely do this. And he says, "I believe in you." That's the casting director deserved an award because he did so many things right. The location, the location scout, he deserves an award because this movie
Hmm.
looked the part. This movie did so well in just making it feel like you're watching The Age of Sail
Hmm.
and you're watching these people on the wrong side of the law live their lives and go after the big dream as to why they even got into piracy. This is a great film for that. It is not a good film to watch if you're a critic of editing, if you are a medical student, if you're in law enforcement. I would not watch this movie if those three conditions are in play. Because if you know anything about gut wounds, you will realize that she would not have been doing half the stuff she would have been doing for the rest of the movie, especially
When
any
it's
fist
near
stuff.
your liver and stuff, you're going to have a lot more blood.
She should have. She probably should have died.
But just like I said, the only thing I could, if somebody would have said this, that when he was looking at the wound, if he would have said something that, thank God she was wearing a corset, or she could have bled to death, or something like that, then it would have been a little more believable. Because back then, women didn't have bras. You had a corset that like held everything up.
Yeah.
It was really tight, and sometimes they even had to have two people, depending on what type of corset you were wearing, to string it up in the back or in the front to help you put it on. And because they didn't have bras and stuff, they had, everything was held up because of what they were wearing around their body, and some of them even had real bones used in them.
One of
Bones.
my favorite quotes
So,
about a corset came from Firefly, where there's a really attractive woman, some noble's daughter, and one of the other nobles says She has a team of 6 ladies to help her get into her corset every morning. But it only takes a sideways glance from a half-born noble's son to get her out.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long. But most of them didn't
Speaking of-
even take their corset off when they were in bed together, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking
yeah,
of,
because it was too hard. They just lifted up the skirts and took care of business.
Go ahead,
Speaking of-
go ahead,
work.
Crafting Gamer.
Well, speaking of clothing brings me to my next question. We'll start with Bruce, since I'm pretty sure Jen will have a long answer. No offense. What was your favorite costume?
The red dress. The red dress, definitely. Although her rags or her battle dress she had in the last act of the movie, I
Mhm.
really thought that was pretty form over function, or pretty much function over form. And I gotta say, like, a lot of this movie has a lot of inventiveness just kind of sewn into it. And I say that because if you look at how all the costumes are, none of these look like they are. None of the costumes look like they're fake. None of these look like they are uh, meant to just be a one-time use. It looks like everything in this film looked like it was supposed to be applied and used on a daily basis, and that was my like rousing. This is the reason why the movie, for me, it scores an easy 70%. I'm not going to give it anything more than a 70% because the editing and the medical bullshit when she gets shot, that completely obliterates any 4-star possibility, and definitely no 5-star. But I'll give it a 70. I'll give it 3.5 stars. I'm just not going to give it anything more because to me it doesn't deserve it. It it really was banking on what Gina Davis was doing after this film. She had an idea, and in 2006, Gina Davis started a institute for actresses and filmmakers to promote more and more women in leading roles and in more managerial and administrative roles for films and cinema and television. And she has that institute to this day. That's part of her entire agenda. She was the progenitor of Me Too, minus all the sexual bullshit that happened. Because I mean, she's been married 4 times, so I'm not going to say anything like she's a virtuous woman. She likes cake, guys. Cake. Have good cake. Get married, to Gina Davis.
Yeah.
You make her a good cake, she'll give you her cakes. And I mean, she's a very attractive lady. She's diminished a little bit in my eyes since I had to watch this movie. Since I've watched this movie and did research. And I mean, at one point she was married to Jeff Goldblum, which I thought was the best thing she could have ever done because I loved her in Earth Girls Are Easy. And I mean, when she was in The Fly, that's one of the most easily.
Yeah, they had very good on-screen
On-screen chemistry and off-screen chemistry. I can only
you could
imagine.
definitely tell that they were attracted to each other. So
Yeah,
that really makes a difference, I think, and it comes across in the way they look at each other, the way they touch each other. Everything about it is more believable.
Yeah,
When
and
you do
her
that. Like
physicality.
that. What was that movie that you had me watch, and it had John Belushi's brother in it, Jim Belushi, and I thought the only good. Yeah, the only good scene in that movie was when he was strapped to that wheel thing, and he was in his skivvies, and that girl, the bondage girl, was working him over. That was a really good scene. It was very believable, and it looked like he enjoyed himself in that whole scene, so it made it more believable.
Some man is going to be so happy with you, Janet. You
know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
You can tell when someone seems to have that extra. I don't know. They have something about them, a presence about them when they're in a role or doing something they enjoy. Like when you're watching a person on a documentary and they're fishing. Okay, they're doing a fishing documentary, and the guys are reeling in a great big marlin or whatever, and you can just see the excitement. Even when they're not speaking, you can just see the in their facial expressions and the way they do everything, that they're enjoying it, and you get, your adrenaline gets going and you get excited too because you're into the excitement that's going on. And that, to me, that's important. And when you have humdrum, boring characters, it makes it boring. I mean, you're ready to turn the channel or whatever else. So to me, when you have that kind of chemistry between people, it seems real, more real. So you can't help but have, feelings for whatever's going on. But my favorite part of the movie, my favorite part with costumes or anything like that, would be the opening part, where they're not really in the opening, but a little bit past that, when they're at that ball, the big dance, when the one rich guy was trying to get his son or his nephew to go ask that rich daughter to dance, and he goes like, she's homely, whatever.
That was
And
great.
then the player that ended up being the thief, that ends up being the helping them get to the Cutthroat Island, is using his charms on this young girl to make her feel like she's the most beautiful girl in the room. And that's, like I always say, if you can find a person in your life that makes you feel like there's no one else, that you're the center of attention and you're the center of their world, for both of the male and the female, then to me, you got the perfect relationship, because you don't need anyone else. So if you were stranded on a desert island or whatever, you'd be happy still, because you have the one person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So when you get that, in a movie, or you dream about it, because you see the characters are involved in that, it's very romantic, and I enjoy that type of stuff, especially if I feel like, you go home and you're like, oh, I wish I had someone like that, in my life. It's nice for girls, I guess. I guess men don't think things that way, but that's what I look for in a romance, on a movie or a TV show. I want to, can I put myself in that and feel like I feel like they're really in love or whatever. So when someone dies or they break up, it's emotional. It should be. Or they have a baby, and they find out they're going to have a baby. You get emotional because you've grown to love those characters and their relationships, things like that. So I just look for that extra thing that goes in between the lines, which is something that's not words. Basically, it's a chemical reaction between the characters and how they get along. Like, movies with best friends, guys that are best friends, that you'll cry when one of them dies or whatever, because you can tell they had some type of a chemical, attraction to each other, not dirty wise, for guys, but, they fist bump that they'd be best friends or they're brothers, but it comes across on the screen. And that's the kind of things that I look for. It makes it hard to reach a certain level for me, because I'm so picky about it. But I can help it. That to me is what I look for entertainment.
Yeah. I would have to say my favorite costume is probably just one of the simplest you're going to see, which is just at the end when the guy who was told, interesting enough, the guy who was told to dance with the homely girl at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
when he's sitting, when he's as a pirate at the end, and he just simply rips the sleeves off of his uniform, and I'm a pirate. I just love that.
And when she tells him to climb up to the bird's nest for 12 hours, I thought that was cute.
Well, it's also a good test, because in reality, if you can sit up there for 12 hours, you are definitely worthy of being a member of that crew.
And I like that for his character arc, because through the whole movie, he's been, being told he's worthless. He's no good. You're not good for anything. But guess what? The people that they were supposed to be fighting and that were supposed to be so terrible were the ones that actually treated him like he was an equal.
Yeah,
that he had worth.
Yeah, and he totally understood what his position in the military too, because right when he saves that one pirate, he literally, right after he saves that one pirate, he says, "I have no future in the Navy," and he just freely admits it.
Mm-hmm. See, he sacrificed for someone else, so that earned him the trust of the other pirates, because he saved one of their own. So I thought that was good. But another scene that I really liked too, that made me think about that, was what was the name of her uncle or whatever, the bad guy from the other ship?
Dog is all I can remember. Like I said last night, with that cheesy
big dog, or Mad Dog or whatever it was that his name was. When he looked at that one pirate that gave him the information that they wanted to be able to find the island, right? When he told him,
Yeah.
well, it better never ever do to me what you did to her, whatever. Because
Yeah.
he'd ruined himself now. He's never ever going to be trusted again, no matter where he went.
Uh-huh.
He had no trust because he had no dignity for even a pirate has some type of trust between another pirate, because, it's
Oh,
like I
yeah.
said, how do you sleep at night when you're in a room full of other pirates and not knowing whether you're going to cut your throat and take your stuff? You can't trust anybody. So you have to have some type of trust uh, between people to be able to live on a ship for months at a time, and
yeah.
to know that there's not one of them's not going to be sneaking in there eating all the food or drinking all the fresh water, things like that. You have to have some type of bond that you earn, as time goes by between the pirates, to be able to fight side by side, knowing that he has your back, that type of
Yeah.
thing. And that's what I thought, one of the reasons why I thought it was so good, because it seemed to me through the movie that that her men felt that way about her. Even though she was a woman, they respected her as a pirate, as their captain of their ship, that she was going to make the best decisions for all of them to be successful. And then at the end, her character arc gets to give them what she said she was going to do for them at the very beginning. If you guys just trust me and fight with me, we're going to get these other 2 maps and we're going to put them together and we're going to go to Cutthroat Island. We're going to be rich. And she told them that if they would work with her, that's what they would get. And at the end, she gets to do that. She gets to hand them everything they ever wanted, which was this huge mountain of treasure, because they all worked hard and they fought for it, and she was giving it to him instead of trying to stab him in the back and take it from him. So I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good ending for this movie.
That's okay, Big Chuck.
Hey, Big Chuck.
Oh, Bruce, did you hear what my favorite costume was? You might get a kick out of this. Janet mentioned the guy that was supposed to dance with the homely girl, and it's interesting enough, him at the end, where all he does is just simply rip the sleeves off of his uniform, and he calls himself good as a pirate. I just love that outfit.
Yeah, that was a good one. Basically, it was like stripping away the confinement that he had, being in the military and being told how worthless he was, that he wasn't good for anything. So he basically was able to strip that off, and his inner self got to come out, his inner hero, to get to fight side by side with all these guys that are rough and tough and able to kick some butt. You know what I mean? I just thought that was good. But now the one thing that I mentioned it, I think, while we were all watching the movie, was the fact that I never saw one shark. All these people falling in the water, blood, blowing up, all this stuff, and we didn't see one shark.
Yeah.
I thought, at least someone would say, "Oh my God, here comes the sharks," or something, but not one. So that was one thing I was expecting to happen that didn't. Now, I'm not saying it didn't ruin the movie, but I kept saying that. I was like, how come there's no sharks in this movie? So I don't know. That was just something I thought would happen, somewhere.
Well, my next question, Janet kind of already answered this a couple times, so I'll get to Bruce first. What was your favorite set?
My favorite set?
Yes.
Probably the actual island or port town. That just seemed to be something that, like, they had set up days in advance for filming, and they had everything squared away to where they knew how they were going to set things up. And so you could tell, like, they had all the extras properly queued up for directional flows of foot traffic. They had all the animals properly taken care of. They did everything. It was just so believable. I could wrap my hands around it, and I could actually see properly how you would want to film a movie where people didn't live. And I could tell that they were filming in town, that they had berthing or hotels just off scene, because I don't think you'd want to take 200 people via bus, via singular VW cargo van. I can't see that. So this movie was filmed, I felt, really smartly, but the part of the film that blew my doors off was really the town scenes. I couldn't believe they did all of that on film, and they still got nothing from the box office. They got no respect from critics. They got nothing whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed, and maybe that's all I need to really just have my doors blown off. Because the first time I watched Firefly,
Mm-hmm.
ironically enough, it's a pirate show. Firefly, the first episode takes place on a area where they're going to go and grab another job from, I think, Boxer was his name, or some. He had a bowler hat, a very
Yeah.
fine bowler hat, and you have about 40 extras milling about, dressed up as either American West or they're dressed up like early 1900s Chinese people or some mishmash.
Uh-huh.
And so it was crazy to see these people just milling about while all these ships are parked and guys are on 4x4s trying to get their cargo loaded up on ships. Everything looks so good. And that was the scene that really sold me on the rest of Firefly. The other episode I really liked was where they took River to the medical bay, and they borrowed Empire Medical Station to see exactly why was River so fouled up. And then her brother's like, "Oh my God, they made pinpoint precision incisions on her brain and cut away your empathy. That's why you're screwed up." So I guess really Firefly for me was an okay show. It was a great show. The script is amazing, but when they really flaunted their budget and had 30 to 50 people out milling about on sets, and they did things right, made it look beautiful, made it look like it was a populated town in the future, I was really blown away. Just like with this movie, when you have 200 people milling about on a port call day, holy cow! I could watch this movie again just for that. Just for the fact that I need to study that in order to make that come more alive for my players.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to, I could watch this movie again pretty easily.
Yeah.
I wish I'd saved the link of where I found it, because that was the second page of videos I was looking at. Like, oh, there is a stream of this, because everywhere else says, oh, if you want to watch this movie, you have to pay. No, dude, I don't know who you're talking to. I'm about to pirate a movie, ARG. And pirate I did. I love that film. That was great. I'll probably buy this movie on DVD because it was that fun of a movie.
I thought I was really impressed by it because I was expecting, a really, really bad movie, but I was
Willy's
shocked
Wonderland,
by
weren't
it.
You were expecting Willy's Wonderland.
Well, yeah, I was expecting because everybody said, "Oh, this movie was the biggest bomb ever at the box office." So when you hear that, you're thinking it's got to be shit acting, just a crap movie,
Hold
what I said about the other one.
Hold on, I gotta say this face to face, Janet. This is the worst performing movie before Indiana Jones 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I grinned so hard with that because I love that fact. I can't wait to see what that movie brings in on Final Tally. I can't, because this is going to be great. And if this movie was released today, if Cutthroat Island was in the theaters right now, if losing poorly against The Sound of Freedom, which is made for $14 million and is made over $100 million, woohoo! And this movie is running against anything from Disney or anything from Hasbro Corp, I could guarantee you this movie would smash its ass.
Yes.
It would smash so much at the film because, one, Gina Davis was bankable then. She's probably bankable now, especially with the current mindset of the modern audiences. They would go for this. This movie would sell like hotcakes.
I mean, honestly, think about it. The Barbie movie is like a huge hit. It's like every cucked man in the United States and around the world is going to go see the Barbie movie. It's
Bullshit. I'm not.
No, I said cucked
I'm
man.
not going to see this shit.
You're not cucked. That's why you're not going to go see it. But what I'm saying is it's like banging at the box office because there's so many cucked men. I mean, I'm sorry. If I met a man and he was interested and wanted to take me on a date or something, and I asked him, well, did you like the Barbie movie? And they said, hell no. Then I'll say, okay, here's my number. But if he said he would saw it, I would say, see ya. Because that would answer it for me. That is not someone I'd be interested in it. I mean, I won't even see it. I mean, and I just, because I have respect for myself. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, just the little bit that I've gotten to see and read about it, it's terrible. But you know, but that's the thing. That's the society that we are in now. And just think about it. All the young men right now and young women that are watching this and watching their parents or taking them to see this movie, what kind of person do you think they're going to grow up to be? They're definitely not going to be a I don't know. I don't want to say anything else. I guess I don't want to.
You're not going to get me booted off Rumble. You're not going to get me booted off Rumble.
mean,
I'll say that.
What kind of people are we going to have? If you think about it, what kind of society are we? I mean, if you could take your kid to see this movie or go see the Barbie movie, I definitely wouldn't want to go to the Barbie movie. This movie is a movie that a real man that's going to be a real man or a real woman that could think that she could, one day maybe be a pirate, like I was, because I was a tomboy. I wanted to be, a cowgirl, go horseback riding, which I did. I was able to do that stuff, roding rodeos and things like that. But I helped my dad with his rabbit farm. We went fishing and we went hunting, and he taught me how to skin squirrel and all this stuff. Not every girl got to do that, but I'm thankful that I was raised by a dad that wanted me to be involved, because he had 5 daughters. He didn't have a son, and so I was like his substitute for that. But I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful that now I actually like makeup, and I like dressing up, and all the foo-foo things that my sisters were really into. I was like, man, I missed out on so much, because it's a lot more fun than I thought it was. But I wouldn't change it, because I loved all the times I got to be with just one-on-one with my dad, because my sisters weren't interested in doing some of the things that I did. And I was lucky because I have a daughter that's a tomboy and a daughter that is foo-foo. So I have both. So, I'm
still getting a kick out of the fact that Janet equated lack of self-respect and watching a Barbie movie.
Well, I mean, I had Barbie.
More often.
I had a Barbie, and I had a few Barbies, but all of them dated G.I. Joe, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know.
That.
It just was nothing like, like these cucky Ken dolls or people in this movie from the trailer and some of the little blurbs that I've gotten to see. It's just not, I don't know. I just think, and I think it's sad that this is what people think are entertainment today. That's why I'm loving we're doing what we're doing now. Bruce and I have been doing this for over a year, and we love it every week, but we're getting to watch some good, some not so good, but all of them are still better than what we have out, most of what's out now. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how I'm looking at it. That I want people that are watching some of the shit that we're making today and go back and watch some of these older movies and compare them. What happened? They, all this stuff you hear all these people saying, when they don't have women that are like when Captain Marvel came out, there's no women heroes. I'm like, we just watched this movie with Gina Davis and she was a hero, and it was an actually decent movie. Okay, so they don't have to make a bunch of men cucks walk around with their dick tucked between their legs and let a woman make all the decisions and kick everyone's ass just to prove a point. You see, because there's actually good movies that came out before everyone was cucked. I don't know. I just don't understand it. I've said this many, many times, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. When we did have movies, I grew up reading, Wonder Woman comic books and seeing some of the women in some of the comic books that I read that were, strong and powerful and intellectual, and stuff like that. And they worked side by side with men, and they didn't tell men what to do, and they had to show the men everything they had to do, and lead them around like on a leash. I don't know. They had teams, and they did things together as a team, side by side. They didn't have, one being a cook and the other one dragging them around. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand it. It's sad.
No.
Hey, Janet,
I would have to say, sorry, Bruce.
What's the difference between story and screenwriter? Because the story it's written by, and there's 6 guys that are listed on here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a good thing.
For the story, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. what you have is a story concept. Someone comes to you and you're a screenwriter and they have a story concept and they'll say, okay, I have a story, I have an idea, and this is what's in it. I want this character, and this character, and I want them to have this as an adventure idea, that they're going to raise money and they're going to open their own ice cream shop or whatever it is, that you come up with. And then the screenwriter sits down and writes a story to try to get to the goal of whatever it is that these people said they want.
Yeah.
But you have to have an interesting story and dialogue between the characters and lead it to where you want it to be at. That's the difference. Okay. Now you have a lot of people that are story that come up with the story, but they also write the screenplay too. So you can have someone who can do both. Just like a person that writes a song doesn't necessarily mean they can sing. They're just songwriters, or they write the words and someone else writes makes the music for the words. See, it can be a combination of different things. That's what makes it so exciting, is because you have a combination of people working together to come up with one thing. You see, you got all this input, and then you got people that are like-minded, but they let each person do their job, so it's successful. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's why when you get a huge hit at the movie theater, because like Maverick, okay, just think of that. Okay, you had the writers, you had the director, you had the actors, and they all had a vision of what they wanted to bring to the movie. So if you had the actor and they're reading the line and they're feeling the character and they like the character, then they're going to do a good job. It's not just saying, hey, here's $20 million. We want you to play this guy. And he's like, yeah, he doesn't give a shit, because he's big. He doesn't care about the part, or he's never read a comic book. He doesn't have a clue about what this comic book character is supposed to be like. He goes in and he puts his own spin on it, and it's not the character. And then there's someone else that absolutely loves the character, like maybe a character like The Witcher from a gamer point of view. And he plays a character, Geralt, and then they tell him, we don't really like him that way. We want you to change him. Well, he's like, well, then that's not the character that's in the game. You see? So people start butting heads because you don't let the people portray the character that they were supposed to be. And then it ruins it, for the people that know who the character is. If you got people that have never seen anything, or if it's a story that no one's ever read, it's not from a book, whatever, it's just something made up, and we sit our butts in the seat and we watch it at the movie theater, people are going to leave with different points of view, but they're not going to say, well, he wasn't what I was expecting because the book was this way. You see what I mean? You don't have anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my entire most recent event watching a movie and being disappointed with it would be the other night when I tuned in for Guardians of the Galaxy on the high seas, and I thought, I'm glad I didn't pay for this film. This is shit. Because I hated the male characters in that film. I loved watching Rocket. I loved watching his backstory. Rocket is my favorite character from the movies so far. He's a gruff little dickhead, and I apparently seem to identify pretty well with that. I think he's a good little dickhead. He's good.
And now you know why he's a dickhead.
Yeah,
Bruce summons his spirit animal, and it's
it's Rocket Raccoon.
Exactly.
And I loved it. I loved the parts where they were showing you his backstory. But as soon as here comes Drax the Destroyer, and what's he doing? Well, he's sure as shit not bare-chested or knifing to death any big monster in this movie. Nope, he's in a uniform looking like HR Puff and stuff has gotten a hold of him, and he's pretty much lifeless throughout the entire film. He doesn't really do a whole lot. The third act, the kids come around and they really seem to throw more money at him to act more excited to be around kids. And that really, that was kind of cool because his backstory is he lost his wife and daughter. I get it. That's fine. That's perfectly okay if you want to go that route. But I was expecting something more from Drax because Drax is still a very physical-based character. And in this movie, I did not get that at all. And I was rather, Star-Lord. He doesn't do a whole lot in this movie except get drunk at the first part of the movie. And that's like the only thing he really does physically. He doesn't do a lot of other physical things in the movie. Fucking Nebula. She looks mannish as hell in this film. Her boobs have gone away. And she's got to build like any of our men in chat No offense to you guys. I love you. You're great men. But Karen Gillian doesn't have your body. But yet,
She was more, to me, when I saw the movie, she was more robotic looking
yeah, but they
than
put a
human this
robot
time.
over a dude's head or over a dude's body.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely like the first movie. She looked very feminine. For her still being,
Yeah,
mostly
but she looked
android.
more human. She
Yeah.
looked more like uh, a woman.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I was so excited, because I wouldn't let anyone tell me about it. I was excited about getting to see it. I heard a couple rumors about the gay love kind of maybe go between Star-Lord and Drax and all that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to go see it,
Please don't be true.
So I was hoping it wasn't true. But then I was thinking that there was going to be a romance between Adam Warlock and Nebula.
We were robbed of that too.
And that's what I was hoping for.
Comics, right?
But yeah, that's what happens in the comic books. But he was cucked. So all the men were cucked. The only man that wasn't cucked was the guy that used to be in that Firefly movie.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion's the only real man in this movie that's portraying a man. Mm-hmm. Everybody else that's a man is obviously like looking for something else. You got Star-Lord there pining for girlfriend Gamora, and girlfriend Gamora's dead. She got pitched off a cliff by her daddy to get the stuff he wanted. And I got to admit, I like Thanos. I really appreciate the Infinity Stone movies, but I don't like Marvel at all anymore for films. If this is what they're going to do, hey, enjoy your shitty movies. I hope nobody goes to see them, fucker. I'm completely done. Yeah. And I like Adam Warlock. We were supposed to get a good character out of Adam Warlock. We didn't get that. What did we get? We got a kid in the first half of the movie trying to put his face on mom's tit and express his love. I mean, no offense, Aisha's really hot, yes.
No, when he first came in kicking ass.
Oh yeah,
that's what he was doing. Remember? Then I was still excited. I was still excited because he's coming down there and he was kicking some ass. He was showing his manliness and what his powers were and stuff. And then after that,
he's trying to get on mom's shit throughout the rest of the fucking film until she dies. Spoiler alert. Yeah. And after that, like the serious part of the film is just him moping around, and like he finds out, like, well,
feeling sorry for himself. He was feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah, and it like I there wasn't a single dude in that film except for the security chief. Nathan Fillion played the security chief, which I'm really happy he got a chance to be in a good movie. But this wasn't it. Like that movie that set sailed, and this movie was 45 minutes of good film, watching Rocket develop a friendship with his little animal buddies, and the CGI for that is amazing. The only time I will say that about Disney is when we're talking about the animal effects for the Guardians movies. Every other time Disney is cued into action, they have fallen flat. I've not been impressed, and I'm so happy I saw this movie for free. Fuck you, Disney. Fuck you, MCU. I'm out. Peace. And that's where I'm at on that. I'll let you guys speak now because I just completely.
Well, back to our regular schedule program.
Thank you.
I'd have to say my favorite set was the captain's cabin. I love what they put in there, especially given how little you actually see the cabin. It's like, what is it? 4 scenes grand total. The longest is when she's having surgery and they're focused on her. I feel like they put more detail than was actually necessary, and I love that.
Well, the scene where the little monkey, I thought was adorable for the little comedy sidekick for her. It was the cutest little thing, and they just don't use that type of stuff in movies that much anymore. It doesn't seem like.
Am I the only one? And chat, if you've seen this movie before, when I asked this question, go ahead, throw in your comment. But when the monkey came out, were you expecting it to die like in Raiders of the Lost Ark? Because that was the last time before this movie that I saw a monkey like that.
No, I wasn't expecting to die at all. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about it to die.
When with the fatso writing a letter to send off on the pigeon, when he looks up, I was really expecting him to kill the monkey. Because he had that look of, to me, he had a look of, There's still one witness to silent.
No,
So
I didn't. But I just thought the monkey was adorable, and when she gestures to him to do different things, and it would do it and look
Yeah.
at her like for approval and stuff. I just thought it was just really cute, and the fact that she was a woman captain and she had a monkey, and then you had other captains, when you're growing up, would they have a parrot, So
Yeah, it's
I
like-
thought it was
I
thought it was cute. I liked it. The fact that
I actually
Everybody
believe
say
this
goodbye.
movie-
Hand has made his musings. Thank you, sir.
I actually
No, I'm not
believe
sure.
that this movie partially informed a few. I don't know if you know Magic the Gathering, Janet. I know Bruce does. There are several Magic the Gathering cards where specifically female pirates with monkeys that have special abilities. Like monkeys will enter the battlefield as a token, and there's a couple of them where the monkeys, every time they attack, they create treasure. And it says, you think about it, it sounds very familiar to what this monkey does.
I've never heard of anything about that before.
Well,
she's not a gamer. The Saturdays
Okay.
we have, that is Janet's first foray into nerddom on the tabletop basis. She's not a card tapper. This is her first campaign.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
I'm learning. I'm on the job training.
Well, there's to make it simple, there's several cards where the main character is where the main creature is a female pirate human, and she will make a monkey enter the battlefield, and the monkey usually has special effects such as creating treasures for you.
Oh, okay.
And I really think after re-seeing this movie that if this movie didn't inspire that particular combo, I don't know what did.
I could see that. I really now that I think about it, I think of all the times where I've been watching a deck game and people will pull out a female pirate and stuff happens on the card table. I remember that. This and I would bet that this movie actually inspired it, which would make a lot of sense because this movie bombed at the time and they were expecting nobody else to think of this film because this movie wasn't seen by a lot of people.
See, that was something I wanted to bring up earlier, was the fact that during the whole pandemic stuff that was going on, and they were shuttering businesses left and right, and people were saying that we're going to have a really bad time with movies because people can't film because they have the masks and the social distancing and blah blah blah, that they would take old movies and bring them to the movie theater to get, when things started cleaning back up again, to get more people to go back to the movies, right? So I figured they'd just, get some old movies and start bringing them, because we had a couple of little theaters that would play, like you could rent it for your family and bring your DVDs or whatever, and you could sit in the theater and have popcorn and everything, have like little parties or whatever for whatever, to try to get people back to the movies. And I thought that was a great idea, to do that, to be able to go sit in nice chairs and stuff and have, good snacks and have all your friends or whatever there and watch a great movie that you brought from home or whatever. And, to help make the theaters keep from going under. So, I was hoping that maybe something like that, where they would bring some of these other movies from the past and start playing them. But I guess nobody did it.
I'm sorry that Janet doesn't live near a big city, because Alamo Drafthouse, especially during COVID, they would let you rent up to 50 seats in a theater. You'd have an auditorium to yourself for like $200. And you could choose from a list of classic 4-star films. And I'm going to say a couple of them here because they're near and dear to my heart. Casablanca, King Kong, 1933.
Yeah.
Aliens, 1986. Big Trouble in Little China, 1986. Titanic, 1997. You had really good films that they were trying to get you to go back to the movies and take your friends and just enjoy some time at the silver screen. And you could watch whatever, they had a limited selection. It was only like 70 films, but it was 70 films that you probably already had at home in your own collection. And if you didn't, you knew them by heart. And
or you're like me, and there was a lot of movies that I'm surprised still how many movies I haven't seen. When someone brings it up and they're talking about how much they really liked it, I'm like, I don't remember that movie. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
So I'm always surprising myself of how many movies I didn't see because I thought, I was one of those people that almost went to the movies almost every weekend. So,
that's funny because I think most of the films I've introduced you to literally have been introducing you to.
hmm
You are not familiar. I mean, granted, two genre types of movies, and you do like horror films. That's great. But whenever I introduced you to Midnight Meat Train, I was really thinking you'd already seen it.
Mm-mm.
You're like,
I was surprised. That's what I said. I'm surprised of how many movies I haven't seen, and that I've been able to watch since we started doing this, which I'm loving. I look forward to it every Monday night, getting to do this, and Sunday watching the movie. It's fun. It's something to look forward to every week, and I enjoy that a lot.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I mean, I get a chance to watch movies that I like, and I've got a chance to watch films I've never heard of before. Like, no offense, but I would have without you, I would have never seen the movie Lars and the Real Girl.
hmm
I
I would
I
never have seen this if it hadn't been for the Crafting Gamer bringing
Yeah.
it up because even though I like Gina Davis and I've seen lots of her movies, I was surprised if this is a movie that I didn't see simply because somebody said, it bombed.
Well, I can understand why it bombed. I can. And that's the reason. I mean, if you guys want to give your ratings in chat, go ahead and
Mhm.
discuss ratings in chat, just whatever you want to do, like thumbs up or percentage score or letter grade. I don't care. But if
Mhm.
you've seen this movie before and you want to talk about it, throw it in there. And this is why I wish Mage's Musings would have stuck around for just a little longer. But I'll ask him on a Discord. And I think this is a fine movie.
Mhm.
When I say it's a fine movie, it does most of the things right. It doesn't hit every note, and movies don't have to.
Mm-mm.
This movie, unfortunately, has a lot of baggage on it, and we've already talked about that. But
Mhm.
this has killed a movie house, and
Yeah.
not just a small movie house, not a mid-sized movie house like Canon Film Group. No, this killed one of the giants at the time, and they are to blame because they put a $60 million noose around its neck,
Right off the
and
bat.
it really hurt. It really hurt this film. This movie could have invigorated a new genre of films, which did eventually come out. We did eventually get the badass female because we have guys like Joss Whedon, we have Foot Fetish Boy Quentin Tarantino. We have so many good films to watch that do suffice to say make a good movie where I
Mhm.
don't have to go through all the dribble that Tarantino's done because I think a
Mhm.
lot of his movies are shit. But he's done some really good films too, and I know you guys might disagree with me. I think that True Romance is probably his best work, even though he didn't direct it, he wrote the script. And they didn't alter the script from what I understand. They followed it as best as they could. And
Yeah.
I think that is one of the best pieces he's ever done, and that was what he used to escape being a video store clerk. Um, Caballero Films needs to make a comeback. I've never heard of them before.
Mm-mm.
Flady, what movies did Caballero Films make? And he might be joking around too. He's got the Joker face. Um,
So, Janet, we know you like the jungle, but tell us how you really feel.
You mean about what my grade would be for the movie?
I meant I'm still at least want to finishing the everybody's favorite set. Then we go to grading the movie.
Just like I said, the opening scene, to me, where the city, along the side of the shipping area where the ships would come in and unload and all that stuff, that whole scene there with all the extras and all the beautiful costumes and stuff, I just love that. And then the scene, my favorite scene, if I had to pick one scene simply for the costumes and the overall effect of it, which I love that type of stuff, was the dance, the ball. I love that, the whole thing, the costumes, the music, just everything about that scene is one of my favorite one of my favorite scenes right there. That's what I would say for apps, the beauty of it and the I don't know, the costumes and the theme, the overall quality of everything that was going on when he was pickpocketing the girl, and all that stuff, by using his charm on her, because it showed he's a thief. So I thought that whole scene was really, really good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Caballero films before. Apparently they did.
I've heard of Caballero films, but mostly for casting. So Caballero, the part that I've dealt with, they do cast, they look for people to put in different roles. So I know them as not as a actual company that makes films themselves, but it's Caballero casting is what I would know. So I don't know if it's the same as what he's talking about. He'd have to tell us.
I don't know. I'd never heard of them before in either way. I gotta say that I hold on.
I can't hardly hear you, so. But my score, I would give this movie a solid 8, because it definitely had a few problems, with editing, gaps in the story that I felt they should have filled in. But just for entertainment value itself, because it wasn't boring, it was very entertaining, I would give it a solid 8 for at least out of a 10. So
yeah,
my point of view.
Sorry. Well,
Before I give my rating, I'll go ahead, Crafting Gamer.
Okay. So, as a kid, I'd have given this film a 10 because I just loved it so much. But as an adult, I'm now with Janet. It's an 8. It's still a really good film, but there are a few things that are wrong with it. Yeah,
but see, as a child, that's what I was saying about it. My inner child was like, excited for this movie, because it was once I started getting into the characters and stuff, because you just want to immerse yourself in it. The beautiful ships, even when they went down below deck and you see the guys getting ready, all the cannons and the way they had it all set up, it was amazing. I just thought it was beautiful. I mean, the detail that they went into it, it's just sad to me that it had a ball and chain of cash, tied around. Simply because some dumb executives, took it upon themselves to spend money that they shouldn't beforehand on things that they shouldn't have been spending money on, since they'd already made other movies and had good productions for that. I would have loved to have seen what could have happened to this if it actually did get the exposure it should have gotten, because I thought it was really, really good. And I don't think that if the problems that they had with the editing would have been near as bad if they'd had the cash to hire the better group, to edit. So who knows what would have happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they had the footage, it's just probably laying all over the floor in the editing room. That's the sad fact. Yeah. That's what happens when you skimp. Now, I don't know how many times that I've said that with Bruce and I about quite a few movies, that if they had a decent editor, and they had the people that actually took the time they needed to seamlessly see the scenes go together and do all that, and making sure there was a few seconds more in this place than there was here, it would have been so much better. It could have made a huge difference in this movie, from being an 8 to a 9, just from editing. I think would have made a huge difference. But I loved it. For entertainment value, I would recommend other people watch it. And I think it's good enough for a young, I wouldn't say, kid that doesn't understand what's going on, but maybe 10, 11 years old, I think would be old enough to watch this, because there wasn't really anything in it gore-wise or anything on it. I just think that the story alone of a kid pretending to be a pirate would be good enough for this movie, I think.
Yeah. Bruce, you were going to say something?
I'll give the character. I'll give the theater their audience scores here in a minute. I want to hear your rating on it first.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Uh,
what you said as a kid you would have rated it really high.
Yeah, as a kid, I would have rated it 10. Now I would rate it as a 8, just like Janet, because it's still a really good movie, but it does have a few things that I quibble with.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm going to go through the chat first and read this. Shadow loves this movie. At the start of the chat, he just came right out, guns blazing. I love this film. This is a great film, great
Mhm.
movie. Then, and I can't show his comment because it's already scrolled up beyond the border, but the first one I can read beyond that. Orange Hat Review says I did a review of this and I gave it an 8 out of 10 on an objective standard. Subjective is a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, there's really like two ways you have to grade this film. And as a moviegoer, it's 10 out of 10 because as a movie, it gave us something new in 1995.
Mhm.
It really did. This was the first movie that I can remember that really just came out and that came out with the quote unquote the girl boss mentality. Like it's been tried the year before with Bad Girls, and that movie flopped really hard, and nobody talks about it except for Janet, which is fine. Janet's a film critic, and she can say what she likes. I
Mhm.
get it. We do have Ripley from Aliens, which that nobody talks about that movie being a girl boss. Nobody talks about Sarah Connor being a girl boss because those movies are great cinema. And there's a difference between great cinema and then just a regular popcorn flick like this that it's got problems and you can see the problems with these films. With
Mhm.
Aliens and Terminator, if I ever do reviews on those, they're going to be really high, maybe a point or two away from Big Trouble in Little China, but they're not going to exceed Big Trouble in Little China. That
Yeah.
movie's my favorite film of all time. Sorry. If I could
No,
rate
don't.
Yeah.
some,
Why? Why would you be sorry because you love something? I mean,
I
if
say
it
sorry
entertains
because
you,
well, no,
it,
no, no.
it doesn't
I
matter.
say sorry so I can take somebody's knees out from underneath them as they're
Oh,
like, oh, well, Big Trouble in Little China didn't get anything but $3 million for the advertisements, and Universal didn't know how to put the movie together for the advertisements, so they really fucking drop a ball. Man. Well, shut up, asshole, because the movie is 30 years old now,
hmm
plus, and it actually works as a film, even though the main character is a sidekick, and the film is great. So
hmm
for me, that's a 98 out of 100. But that's the
yeah,
highest movie I'll ever rate. I haven't found a more perfect film yet. And Aliens and Terminator 2 are both sequels, which means that they eclipsed their original films. In my opinion, they both did great. The original Terminator and Aliens are great movies, probably about an
mhm,
89 each. But those are like in 93, 94 territory. And that's just how I grade, and I'm pretty critical about things. Uh,
yeah,
but as this movie here, like as a moviegoer, they would have enjoyed it. Orange Hat Reviews, he liked it, and that's great because when I watched this movie for the first time yesterday, I thought this movie would be a hit today. This movie would have been knocked out of the park. This is a movie that you'd have Natalie Portman coming out looking there just absolute finest from the theater on the red
mhm,
carpet talking about how great this movie is and how good Gina Davis is in it. And Gina Davis would later go on to make a institute to try to help women to get administrative roles to helping create movies so we wouldn't be stuck with only Kathleen Kennedy. And that's my hope and prayer. I know
mhm.
that probably is not exactly what happened, but I don't want Kathleen Kennedy anywhere near fucking Filmhouse. I'm stuck with it, but I'm not like a man I admire, Doomcock. I'm not like him. Every 30 minutes he's releasing. I have a new video discussing the exclusive firing of Kathleen Kennedy. Why don't you
Well,
get
he's
it now,
obsessed
Doomcock?
with her.
What?
Okay, I think he's obsessed with her because
Yeah,
he makes so many videos about her. And but see, we don't have to do that. We
no.
do our one schmeal, about whatever movie it is, and we get all the shit out of it,
Yep.
and then we move on to the next one because there's
Yeah.
plenty. There's plenty of
There's
other
plenty of
movies
films. Uh,
to bitch or love.
Doomcock is the
So
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Doomcock is the guy that told me to watch older films.
mhm.
He was there in 2017 talking about how nobody is paying attention to YouTubers that talk from the heart, that are honest, that are giving honest reviews and honest impressions from films.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later when I met you and I started talking to you and I had this blessing. This wife that I've got is like, have Janet do videos with you about this. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay. Because my wife won't watch movies with me. She doesn't want to sit for that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Anyway, back to the reviews here out of the chat. Mr. Six Nation 31 Kings, one of our longtime viewers and probably somebody who's there with us on every Sunday. He can be there. Him, Flady, and Crafting Gamer. Those three gentlemen, if you see them going into my Discord, follow them on a Sunday. We're about to watch a movie.
Yep.
He
7
says
o'clock.
6 or 7 out of 10. This
Mhm.
isn't the Buccaneer or Treasure Island, etc., but it was a fun action flick. It was a Friday night movie, dollar night rental wouldn't upset, worth seeing with friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
It's honest,
Definitely. Yeah, I think it was worth it. I mean, it's definitely a entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Treasure Island was so good. When I was a kid, that was a great show.
mm-hmm.
He talks about Captain Blood, the Black Swan. There's too many swashbucklers I grew up watching as a kid. Thank God we have an awesome back catalog to choose from. Yes. And anybody that's out there that wants to do what we're doing, where we're just talking about older films, get yourself a mic, get yourself a crappy camera. A potato cam is how geeks and gamers built their empire. Okay. You can do the same thing. Nobody's going to stop you. All you've got to do is just let us know, and people will start watching you. And
Yeah, Orange Hat Reviews. That's what he does.
Example.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hell of a creator.
Yeah, my meds are wearing off. Sorry.
Run Lola Run was another. Yeah, that was a good movie. He just discussed Big Trouble in Little China last Thursday. Yeah, that's my favorite film of all time. It's the best movie I've ever seen. I still get chills watching the fights in that movie. I think Jaws 2 is better than the original. Ooh, Flady, hot take. The Wilk Breaker says, hello, Wall. It's based on strict entertainment level, no deconstruction. Well, we deconstructed a little bit. I go hard in the paint on that, and I like to look at things from an eye because I play with miniatures way too much. I mean, I know that your shtick is your shtick, and I really like your reviews. Mine, I want to look at sets. I want to look at props. I want to look at what they did to create things. Yeah. Seeing Janet dressed in that outfit reminds me of how shitty Disneyland screwed up Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Fuck them for screwing with my childhood. Asshats.
What did they do to the ride? 'Cause I never went on it.
I'm pretty certain they took the sexy out of it.
Oh, really? Why is that? I wonder.
I don't know why. They're having Disney princesses with beards and mustaches now.
Oh,
I have no idea why.
so you mean like what's the name of that restaurant? Hooters. Now it has men that wear little shorts and little tanks and stuff.
If I ever went to Hooters and a dude with his balls coming out the orange shorts, I'm done. I'm getting up. I'm leaving the fucking restaurant. If I see testicle hair,
my first job that I ever had, where I got to wear a little skirt, not at a chicken plant or something like that, where I was a cocktail waitress. I wasn't old enough to drink legally, but because I was 17. But I got to wear a little Navy outfit with a little skirt and a hat and stuff to serve at a Navy bar in Orlando, Florida. So it was that was exciting. It was fun. I made really good tips. I was excited about it. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If a woman wants to look attractive, to make a few extra dollars, I don't see there's anything wrong with it. Even if a woman wants to be a prostitute, as long as she's doing it because she wants to, and she's not being forced to do it because of trafficking or whatever. And I think it should be legal. That's how I see it.
Says it's disgraced his colors. South Park was right again. They should change their name to Raisins. Oh God. And picture it didn't happen, Janet. Wink. Okay.
Well, I'm right now. I'm basically wearing, close to what I would wear.
Disney's in full blow-up mode. Let's enjoy the show and warm our hands on the leftovers. Shirking flames and ashes.
Oh.
I love Skeletor. It was a big part
But
of my
thank you for offering me the chance to get to watch this movie, because I'm glad I got to watch it. I thought it was really, really good. And I'm really amazed how many people hadn't seen this movie.
My
So am
rating
I.
on this movie, the Crafting Gamer, thank you very much for bringing this movie to our attention
Mm-hmm.
and to our haste. I want to say that I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat on both Rumble and on YouTube that have made this an enjoyable stream. We've gone into the 2 hour mark, and that's good. We'll do a little bit more, but I want to say thank you to everybody first. I
Mm-hmm.
really I understand that without the audience, it's just me and Janet and Crafting, just three of us talking to each other, and if we're giving you guys some sort of quality, some sort of entertainment, that's great. Janet will be, once she gets monetized and once she gets some things going, her charity that she'll be donating to in full will be Operation Underground Railroad.
Yay.
She's big into that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 2/5 of the way for my requirement for Wounded Warrior, and I'll be swapping over to Underground Railroad as well. Tim Ballard has put together a really good charity, and he has a good head on his shoulders. He's a good guy. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I believe him. I that's all I'm going to say, because he's been put through the ringer legally. He's been put into the courtrooms to try to do what he's doing, and people are finding him, one, not guilty, two, he's doing good stuff, and Hollywood's out there trying to shut this movie down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's doing something good. Obviously, if people are trying to shut his movie down, then obviously they have a vested interest for the things that he's trying to crusade against.
Mm-hmm.
Kidnapping
Right.
kids is wrong. All right. My review of this movie is a 71%. I was going to go with a flat 70, but the more I talk about it, the more effort that the people put into it, I see, and I know that there are some problems with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a 80%, a 4-star out of 5-star movie for me is probably going to be more like Death Wish 3 or Invasion USA
Mm-hmm.
or the first Braddock, the first Missing in Action. Those movies are 4 out of 5. And I know that sounds really weird because those are Canon Film Group movies and Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson movies.
Mm-hmm.
But those films were Eagles Dare, the Clint Eastwood film with Richard Burton we saw last year. Those are like at 80%. This
Mm-hmm.
movie had problems in editing. This movie had real issues with rewrites and with overruns.
Mm-hmm.
When the director
Yeah.
himself has to pay the banker and the production house $1 million because of a rewrite on script,
Yeah.
you've got problems. With that being said, they put forth the best they could. They were given this huge millstone around their neck at the start of the film, and they couldn't get away from that. It eventually tanked the entirety of Kuroko Productions, who now only live on the internet and on your hard media. Preferably, you guys have Terminator 2 and Total Recall in your hard disk collection. I'd hate it if you woke up tomorrow and Apple decided to delete it off of your library. I really do. Go with hard media. Find yourself a place that will sell you hard media. Get to be good friends with the owner. It's better if he's local. This guy, if you have a job in the area and he might need you, that'd be great, because at some point he's going to pay you for what you do. Orange Hat Reviews, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here and helping Janet. If you could help her out and put a like on her channel, that'd be great. Go get your 40 winks. Have a great evening, and I'm looking forward to watching more of your materials, sir. But I'm going to put his link in the chat real quick. Hold on. Go ahead, Janet, or Cracking
Yeah.
Camera.
Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. That's how I look at it, right? But
Yeah.
do you want me to talk about what I'm interested in watching next week, Bruce?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I was like torn between whether I wanted to do a sci-fi movie or do an older Western type movie. I finally made my decision, and I want us to watch Jeremiah Johnson. It's a really good movie, and my mom absolutely loved Robert Redford, and it's a good movie. So I'm in the mood to watch it. So that's what I want to watch for next week.
Oh, if it's the one that makes you cry, I can guarantee I won't be there. I like
Well, I
movies
don't
that
really
make me
think that
emotional.
it will make me cry a little bit, but this movie didn't almost make me cry a couple times
Well,
with the
it's
monkey.
I'm
But Rob Roy,
I'm not
definitely I cried
yeah.
a lot.
I'm not so manly to not admit I cry easily, and in my case it disrupts my emotional balance to the point it's best that if I can avoid it I should.
But it's a good movie. It's
Oh, I don't doubt you. It's just I got to
oh,
be careful.
yeah, that's okay. Just go watch the trailer for it, and if you think you might want to watch it, then you can join us on Sunday.
Okay.
Be fun. And I'm inviting everybody that's here and anyone else that's watching this later on. You can watch the movie with us that we're going to review on Sunday night in Bruce's Discord, and at 7 o'clock on Sunday, or 7:30. I'm trying to remember if it's 7:30 in there sometime. But he will announce it, tell everyone so we can watch it. But I enjoy getting to watch it, and it's still fresh in our minds, and then have 24 hours to kind of mull it over, think about it, and then when we talk about it, then it's great. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's a good movie.
I know a couple movies I intend to suggest in the future at some point. Ones I've talked about. I know ones I intend to suggest with money. I don't want to be persistent because I don't want to be greedy with other people's potential spots for this. Which is one of them is Waxwork. Everyone says Waxworks. I want to call it that too, but I looked at the movie recently. It's called Waxwork, which is a Janet dream come true because it has the basic premise is an evil man collected personal items from the 18 most evil men in history: the Invisible Man, Dracula, the plant from Little Shop of Horrors. Literally, they have that plant, and it's all in a wax museum. And they are slowly killing people until they have 18 victims, 666.
Yeah.
And you have a whole, what I'm saying is your dream is, in fact, you will have so many genres you can pick from. There's zombies, vampires, the Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, that's great. I've never seen that movie. I've never seen Waxworks.
Oh, it is such a good. It's one of those movies it's on my. It's a bad movie, but it's totally worth watching list.
Yeah, one of my friends, Lasso of Truth, she has her own channel now, and she's doing a show called I'm trying to remember the name of it, Terror Reels or something like that, Horror Tales or something like that. But on Wednesday nights, she does movie reviews of movies that are scary and everything to do with the scary movies and things that she's involved in. So if you like movie reviews about scary movies, you need to check out her channel.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, it's good. And she's a sweetheart, and I like her a lot. And she's really kind and generous, and she's honest, and she's got a wonderful accent. So I like listening to her. But anything else you want to say about the movie before we close out? Crafting Gamer?
More people need to see it.
Yeah, it is. It was a lot better than I was expecting, so I was happy to see it. Is Bruce okay?
I'm fine. I'm over here. I just was searching on the web for Orange Hat Reviews website. And I'm like, oh, there's his a review of Big Trouble in Little China. I clicked on it. He had Jade Shadow as his co-host, which, okay, guys, pro gamer move here. If you're going to do a review channel, if you're going to have reviews and subjective information, if you're going to have editorial work and do Creative Commons licenses, you can do it by yourself, but take a friend with you. And if you're smart, I'm going to say take a fairer friend than you. Take a woman with you on camera and have that. It'll be the best thing for your channel.
because you'll have a guy's perspective, you'll have a woman's perspective.
Mhm.
And I mean, when I say you have a woman, if you have a woman that has a woman's perspective, don't get some shrieking harpy, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. You know, you can think of plenty of shrieking harpies. Get a woman who likes being a woman, and have her be able to give her honest opinion. Janet, when she does these movies, there's a 1 in 4 chance she cries. It's like watching a Ricky Schroeder film. I mean, there's a 1 in 4 chance Ricky Schroeder cries in every movie.
Mhm.
And I just keyed a memory for most of you people because Champ died. There was his dog Chomps that died.
Mhm.
There's so many Ricky Schroeder films where Ricky Schroeder cries. In Silver Spoons, he cried. I mean, everywhere you look, Ricky Schroeder cries. And Janet, I love her to pieces. She's my best friend. She's got a good head on her, and I love being on Monday nights there. I love being one of her main mods and her panelist on Friday nights for her shit show. She is, and that's what she
Thank
calls.
you.
It. No, it's a blessing. Knowing you has been such a perk. It's been such a benefit. You're an asset in my life. I don't know if how I can try to emphasize like how much of a great thing, how much of a great person you are.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you to me.
But and please don't cry because I said that. But I mean,
I'm trying not to.
you wear your heart on your sleeve, and you're so honest with things. I really enjoy having this opportunity to do this with you. And then you were the one that had the impetus that said we got to invite people to give us homework.
Mhm.
And thus, therefore, I think it was the Crafting Gamer that was he was the first one that was brought on to help us do reviews.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, it's been a big thing for us. I really must say I'm enjoying the hell out of this. My Monday nights are great. I think I've skipped one Monday night because I had to work. I'm sorry, but I really do look forward to Monday nights, and then Friday nights with you. There's another show that I'm on up until 8:50, and I'm like, all right, John, I got to get out of here. I got to get ready for the shit show, and he's like, okay.
I love it. It's fun. It was just a spur of the moment thing one night with my sister and I, and because we all want to vent, we all need to get things off our chest. I think it's important to have somebody to listen to you, or to share their feelings with you. So, if anybody wants to join the shit show with me, send me a message on my channel. Post it on under the one of my videos or whatever for the shit show, because I try to react to all my anyone who comments or whatever. I try to react to it or read it, and or send me a message on Discord and saying, hey, I would like to be on your shit show and I have some cool stuff we can talk about or whatever. I'd be happy to have you on there on the panel, because I can have 6 people on there. Now that thanks to Bruce, he taught me how to to go live and actually have a guest. So it's worked out pretty good. And it's been fun, even because there's so much shit going on. I mean, our world is full of shit. But last week we actually had some good things to talk about. A 13-year-old girl that got kidnapped and saved, and parents having a meeting at the school board and ruling in their favor that they have to be told about their children that want to transition, things like that. So there is some good things happening, and I definitely wouldn't want to talk about those things too. It's not just the shit, but everybody needs to talk about stuff to get off their chest. It's important.
It is.
Yeah.
Crafting Gamer, what channel content you were working on? Robotech.
Robotech Book 1 for Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
I have just released my final thoughts video this last Saturday. I probably will not have a video this coming Saturday unless I can get on somebody's show and channel it and stream it to my channel, which I doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But my next video will hopefully be week after next, which is going to be book 2 of the Robotech series, which is actually just going to be a quick series because it's mostly just Robotech equipment, vehicles, and new power armor or mecha armor.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up an image real quick. That way people know what we're talking about. You do the Palladium stuff, right?
Yep. I have had requests to go a little bit outside Palladium. Someone wants me to do BattleTech. I think that's the one that Maxia was talking about it, and then someone asked me about my Robotech, and then they're like, "Oh, well, do you do BattleTech?" Is what I believe you said, and I'm like, "Well, not yet, but it does interest me." And I'll admit I love Palladium, but after learning about different games, it's like it might be a good idea to actually do a palate cleanser every once in a while, like maybe step away from Palladium and do a different game. Yep, that is the book I have been covering.
Awesome.
This is a old classic RPG from a company that I'm pretty familiar with. The head of them used to work out of the office for Judges Guild in Decatur, Illinois. Then he went off and he turned his own role-playing game that he was building at his kitchen table into a Palladium book, and he made a bunch of stuff. He did a fantasy RPG. He's got a kitchen sink sci-fi RPG. He's got a lot of stuff that he does, and I'm really proud of him. He's got good success. He does make a good product. They don't understand what an index is, and that's the problem with Palladium. But they have most of their books or layout. They don't do layout well, but they do have good content. If you know how to read their books and how to shuffle through them fast, you can be efficient and actually run a good campaign. If you don't know the books, you're just digging for hours and the game comes to a complete halt. But it's a lot of fun. I put Janet's information in the Discord, and Crafting Gamer. Let me pull up your. I got to pull up your YouTube here in just a second. But I do want you to get some growth on this. This is the reason why we do this is to help shout out and help promote friends of ours.
Yeah, I could really use the help lately. After I did my first real live stream, and apparently YouTube didn't like the fact that I know for a fact I cussed at least once. Right after that, my account started slowing down on how many people were subscribing. It's like, well, now I know exactly what people talk about shadow banning.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was steadily growing up till that stream, and then instantly done. I've gotten one person in the last 2 months because of it.
Lady One, who's going to be on Max? Yeah, Kevin Sambata and the new CEO of the company, or the future CEO, will be on this coming weekend on Sunday. Triple M says the good old RPG time. How to see this? I'm one of the Germans who went to England frequently in order to get some RPGs. We only had genuine system, and that one was Dark Eye. Yeah, I remember Dark Eye. That was the one my German friends, all my Kraut friends loved Dark Eye. That was what they had in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. Aside from that, Crafting Gamer, do you have anything else to add?
Hopefully here soon I'll be adding Magic the Gathering to my list of repertoires to try to take advantage of the YouTube algorithm, because I do know for a fact YouTube loves Magic the Gathering.
I get that. Janet,
Yes.
Do you have anything to say before we exit the stream?
No, I promise I'm trying to this week. Might go to my dad's again to help my sister, clean some more. But want to read some more from my book. Trying to go to the next, because I try to read like 3 or 4 pages. It's just small, little bite-sized pieces of it. But I haven't done it in like over 2 months. So I really need to. It's been so busy, summers just adds more stuff for some reason to our lives. But besides that, I'm just gonna be doing the shit show on Friday, and it seems like right now there's gonna probably be some good shit happening this week that we'll be talking about for Friday.
I'm thinking so.
So
There's
I'm not
some
looking forward
bank
to it,
news. There's bank news popping up
Mhm.
on the dark web. I don't know if it's popping up on mainstream media.
It will.
But it's popping up, and banks are. What I'm talking about is that banks are shutting
people's accounts down, denying them access to their money. And
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting to see this. I experienced this with a USA, not USA Bank, USAA Bank, and
Mhm.
I decided that was it. That you're done.
Yeah, just think about it. If they force us all to be digital,
Yeah, I'll be a cash and
we'll
carry
be
guy.
at their whim. You know, if they say, "Well, I don't like the way that lady looked at me," so no bank account,
You,
you know, no
you'll see a
access.
sizable amount of people rebel, and there'll be fights. There'll be blood. That's all I'll say.
Mhm. It's gonna
See
be
what happens.
bad.
That's that. If you guys like content like this, we do talk a lot about politics on Friday night.
Yeah.
Come on over to Janet's Discord. It's up there at the
And you can
9.
also send us some things. If you see something that pops up that nobody's talking about that you think that might be a good thing for us to talk about, put it on our Discord so that we can read it, look at it, and be able to bring it on the show. If it's not, too over the top.
Well, I do know something that would definitely fall in the category of that, which is how good 3D printers are getting in some of the crazy things you can print, such as actually usable guns, even if it's only one use. There used to be several jokes about it or little TV skits, but now it's real.
Yeah, I know. A lot of things are real that people say, that's a conspiracy theory. And it's not anymore. It's real. So,
It is.
yeah.
All right, guys. Until next time, next Monday night, we will be watching Jeremiah Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Robert Redford. I don't know who the rest of the cast is.
I don't remember. It's not a lot of people in it because it's mostly he's a mountain man type thing. So that's good. It's nature.
Sounds like a good time. Everybody, please be safe. We look forward to seeing you again throughout the week, and we will see you definitely here at the auditorium next week.
Bye-bye.